just want to make sure that you're communicating with them regularly. Then the last area is the written paper itself, and your written paper is due May 4th of 2015. That's
March.
a long ways away, huh?
You said May, March.
March, I'm sorry, March 4th, thanks. So that's 11 months away. So each of you will submit a written paper. It's APA style, includes a cover page, an introduction, a literature review, a draft methodology, and it also has a bibliography, which isn't listed there, but the head-up section. And your project advisor will actually grade your proposal on a 100-point scale. We will give you a rubric for that later. There is a rubric that already exists, but we've changed the assignment a little bit. I changed it a little bit in the last 2 years, so I'm actually going to redesign that rubric a little bit, and I'll give that to you in the fall. But I don't grade those papers, your project advisor does. The only thing I do is the attendance and participation, making sure you're here, you're participating, you're part of this. I determine that, but your project advisor does the checklist and grades your written paper. And then if you look on the last page, oops, not the last page, I guess the bottom of that page, tells you the number of points that you need for each of the different grade levels and what those scores mean. So those are the three pieces that become part of your assessment: attendance and participation, the checklist, and the written paper. Okay? That makes sense? All right. So Wendy, do you want to say a few words about advisors and...
Yeah, it is really important to pick an advisor. Like Dr. Burr said, you're going to be working with this person for the next 2 years. So really think about it. You know, find somebody that you think you could work well with, and vice versa. Make sure you have similar expectations. I know some faculty advisors really want students to be very independent. Others want to work, more closely together. So find out, what do you want? What do they want? And talk about that. Don't be afraid to not just take the first one that comes along, I guess you could say, but kind of be picky and choosy, because it's a really important decision. A couple things. I was on Canvas today. You guys are still part of 2160, and so on there I put a folder for with information for next year, so you guys have access to it. On there's the syllabus. I have a list of current faculty that have been advisors in the past. You do not have to choose somebody from that list, but I thought it would be helpful for you to know who is familiar with, the research process. If you look in that list and you find somebody you want to ask, I suggest you probably want to ask them. Don't wait too long, because everyone else here is going to be seeing that list. It's not a competition. I'm not saying, call them at, whatever, 6 o'clock or something like that. But just you don't want to wait too long, because obviously research advisors can't take on 5 or 6 students. Some have had 3 students. I think one had 4 first semester, but it was a lot. So just think about that. If you know somebody that's not on that list, that is absolutely fine. You can, we're always happy to have new people, participating. I also put on there, it's, I guess, kind of like a letter of information that you can give to a faculty if you talk to somebody and kind of, explain the situation. Say, would you be interested in this? And say, well, tell me more about it. And you say, okay. You can go in there, and there's a letter that you can either, electronically, you can print it out, that has pretty much the 2-year process of what is involved for you, as well as the expectations for faculty. So I think that'll be really helpful for you, as well as for them to get an idea. They can always contact me or Dr. Breyer. Some of them probably know Dr. Breyer. They can say, what's this all about? Because we want them to know what they're getting into, because it is a 2-year commitment. We want them to not just say sure without really knowing what they're getting involved with. So. I was going to say something about the honors too, but I said that. Okay. The other thing is we have people that are in the honors program, and I think you guys already know this, but basically the capstone project counts for your honors project. And also on the Canvas site, I put a special folder for honor students, so there's some information in there. One of them is a timeline with what you need to do. Basically, because you're going to be enrolled actually in EDHD 3160H next spring semester, you'll need to fill out a special form for them before December 1st of 2014. It's the 4990 form, 4980 form, and this is all on the Canvas site. There's a Form 1 and a Form 2, so I don't want to get too bogged down with details, but just go on the site, and this will be on there that tells you what to do. If you have any questions, you can ask me or ask the Honors College, but basically you guys will get credit for both. So I think that's all I want to say about that. Is there any questions about, unless you want to go on first?
Yeah.
Questions about advisors? You guys feel like you understand what to do? Yeah.
When do we need to know them by?
That's a good question.
Yeah, so here's what I would suggest. I would say that if you have a person in mind and you want to ask them tomorrow, go ahead, right? No, there's no, we can start right away. And what I always do is I require that you have your advisors selected in stone by the second class session that we have together in September, which is on our syllabus is September 23rd, okay? So anytime between now and September 23rd, you can nail them down. But I would recommend if you got somebody in mind, you ask them sooner rather than later. But we always do have some people come back in September and decide to, to ask somebody else or to wait. But that would be your final deadline.
I know for honors, we have to have 2 advisors.
Right.
Does our second advisor have to be math,
No.
science? Okay.
No, for honors project, your second advisor can be anybody that the Honors College approves. Yep. One other thing, I guess, about still thinking about advisors, the person that you select for it, keep in mind that it really is a relationship, a professional relationship you have with that advisor, and you got to feel comfortable that what you're studying is in their interest area, and they got to make sure that what you're doing is of interest to you too, you know what I mean? So you really have to be compatible. So it's not unusual for somebody to say, hey, Dr. So-and-so, will you be my advisor? And they say, well, I don't know, let's sit down and talk about it. And you talk with them a little bit, and they say to you, one of the things that I like to research is this, this, and this. Are you interested in any of those? And if you're not, you say, not really, that isn't really my area of interest. And they might say, well, you know what, you might be better off with a different advisor, Or you might come to them, maybe you've got something right now that you're already thinking very early on. If this is something I think would be really interesting to study in a classroom, and you throw it out, and they might say, that would be great, or they might say, that's not really my area of expertise, And if you do that, don't feel insulted, personally insulted, if an advisor that you ask says no, right? They're not saying, Jessica, I can't stand you, get out of my office, right? They're saying, Jessica, I appreciate you asking me, but really, in some cases, I don't have time to do it. I've already got 5 other advisees that I'm working with, and I can't possibly take one more person at this time. That kind of thing. Don't take it personally, okay? We have a certain number of advisors that tend to have quite a few people. We have a number of people in the college that are really good that just haven't even been asked yet to be an advisor. So, think about it a little bit, and I would agree with Wendy, don't force somebody just because of the first person that comes into your mind. And think a little bit about who would I be compatible with, who I might be able to work with over a couple of years.
And on that list that I have on the Canvas too, it has, some of them gave me some ideas of what they're interested in, so that can be helpful too. If you say, hey, I really want to do something about this area, you can look through that list and you can maybe see who might have a similar interest. So they don't all have that, but some of them have that too. So.
Any other questions about advisors or anything about the syllabus, checklist, anything that's in your head?
For advisors, would you recommend doing more someone with our content area or more with education? What do you think would be?
It really depends on your interest, because it can go either way. We've got people in the content areas, like, think of somebody that maybe like, I don't know who would be a good person as an example. One of our science folks, maybe Miles Blanton. Dr. Blanton is in physics and worked with one of our action students, did a really nice job as an advisor, but he does not have education background, but he was a person that our student felt particularly comfortable with, he did a really nice job. So it's more a matter of, if they're from arts and sciences, you might ask the question, do they have any education background at all? Because it's possible the person could be really good and be in the math department, for example, or in biology or something, and they really have no background in education. And if you're going to try to do a project with them where you're trying some kind of a teaching strategy, if they're not from a teacher education background, they may not be able to relate to that. So I think some are stronger than others. That's a good, fair question to ask them. Like, if you have somebody that's in the math department you think you might want to work with, that's a person you could sit down and actually ask that question to. If I'm interested in studying education, obviously, is that an area that you're interested in, or where your research would be purely in math? But we've had people go both ways with it. I can't say that one's worked better than the other, because different situations work better for different people. Anything else?
And everybody has found an advisor, so don't feel like you're not going to find one. You will. Don't panic. So.
Yeah, don't panic, and don't desperately feel like you have to have one tomorrow either. You got time here. That's why we meet with you early. If you get an advisor sometime between now and the end of the semester, wonderful. Let us know. We're ready to roll. If not, that's okay. You can get somebody lined up in the summer or even in the beginning of the fall semester. So what's going to happen time-wise between now and the end of the semester, if you are asking people about being an advisor and you get somebody identified, you're going to let Wendy know that, so that we kind of get that list together of who's with whom. And then if you don't get that nailed down, that's okay. We don't really do anything officially until our first class session in September. When we get together, that's when you'll get your book. We'll have our first set of discussions and so forth, so that all happens later on. But, and by all means, don't feel like you're being rushed to come up with a topic. Okay, a research topic should be the last thing in your mind at this point. That's something we deal with. That's why we have 2 years here. You don't have to have a research topic figured out for a long time, so don't feel like you're pressured to do that. The initial step here is just who would I like to work with better than this. Rachel?
Is there, can we just like send, if we have somebody in mind, to send them like this syllabus and like, and like, I don't know, like, so if this is online, can I like download it so I can like email it to them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that form that Wendy mentioned also, because there is a sheet that explains exactly what an advisor's role is
Is that on
in the
Canvas
project.
too?
That's on Canvas too. Yep.
It's under the 2160, community, but there's a separate
in
thing
the
that will
files.
say, I think it says 3160 something or other, so
Okay.
everything's right in there, yeah.
Yeah, you'll have your own 3160 site next year. At the end of 2160, we dump everybody out and move everybody up all one, but right now it's in the 2160. Liz?
This is kind of off topic, but is this like another 1 credit hour class?
Yes.
Will that be in the fall or the spring?
Thanks for asking that. It is spring.
Okay.
So it'll work just like you did this year. You'll get 1 semester hour in the spring, even though you have classes in the fall. And the same thing with 4160. You'll have a couple sessions in the fall. You conduct your research in the spring, but you get your 1 hour in the spring semester always. Thanks for asking. I meant to mention
You
that.
should mention the course you too. You give me more things you need to
Yep.
talk about. Also, with this course, there is a $250 course fee that will be covered by action funds. You guys aren't responsible for paying that. But the reason we do that is because we want to have funds available for you if you need anything for your research, the process of your research. So just want to let you know now that there is money. I don't know if you want to give some examples of anything for the
Yeah.
later use or something.
Yeah, I mean, there are a variety of different things. One of the things that I always say is don't let lack of money get in the way of doing a particular project. So for example, if a person says, hey, I would really like to give my students this survey, like an official inventory that somebody's made up and give this, but the survey is actually commercially available from this company and they charge $4 a student to give it. And I'm going to have 40 kids, it's going to cost $160. I'm not going to pay $160 to give that survey. Ask us, we'll give you $160 to do the survey. So that's what we collect course fees for. If there's any kind of hardware, software, whatever, we spend course fee dollars to buy various things that will support the class. So, just know that there's kind of going to be a pot of money there for 3160 and 4160 to help support you if there's things that you need that we don't already have.
Makes sense.
Anything else? Wonderful. Okay, great seeing you all. Have a great rest of the week. We'll see you.